What happens inside your body when you die? Every human being who has ever lived has shared one unavoidable moment. A final heartbeat, a final breath, a final signal from the brain. No matter where someone is born, no matter how long they live, no matter what they believe, every human story eventually reaches the same mysterious boundary, the moment when life begins to disappear. But what actually happens inside the body? When the heart stops? When breathing ends? When the brain slowly loses the activity that creates thought, memory, and awareness? Death is something every person knows exists, yet it remains one of the greatest mysteries of human biology. Because from the outside, the difference between life and death can appear simple. A heartbeat, or no heartbeat. A breath, or no breath. Movement, or stillness. But inside the body, the transition is far more complex. Death is not a single event, it is a process. A series of changes that unfold over seconds, minutes, hours, and days. And it begins with something we experience thousands of times every day. A breath. Every moment you are alive, your body performs a remarkable exchange. You inhale oxygen. Your lungs transfer it into your bloodstream. Your heart pumps that oxygen-rich blood throughout your body. Your cells use it to create energy. Then carbon dioxide returns to the lungs, and you breathe it out. This cycle never stops. Not while you walk, not while you sleep, not even when you are unaware. Your body is constantly maintaining the delicate balance required for life. But eventually, something interrupts that balance. The final breath occurs. Sometimes it happens because the heart stops working properly. Sometimes because the brain can no longer control breathing. Sometimes because the body reaches the natural end of its biological journey. The reasons vary. But the process that follows has a remarkable pattern. When breathing stops, the supply of fresh oxygen begins decreasing. At first, the body still contains oxygen inside the blood and tissues. The heart may continue beating briefly. Cells continue using the remaining oxygen. The body does not immediately shut down. Instead, it begins running on its final reserves. The brain is especially sensitive to this change. Although it represents only a small percentage of body weight, the brain consumes a significant amount of the body's energy. Every thought, every memory, every emotion, every sensation depends on billions of neurons communicating through electrical signals. And those signals require energy. Energy requires oxygen. Without oxygen, the brain begins changing rapidly. One of the most fascinating questions about death is, what happens to consciousness? Where does awareness go? For thousands of years, humans have searched for answers. Philosophers, scientists, religious thinkers. Everyone has wondered about the relationship between the physical brain and the experience of being alive. Modern science studies this question by observing what happens to brain activity during extreme conditions. In some cases, people who were temporarily close to death have reported unusual experiences. A feeling of peace, a sense of leaving the body, seeing bright lights, hearing sounds, experiencing memories in vivid detail. These experiences are often called near-death experiences. They are real experiences reported by many people. But exactly why they happen remains an active area of scientific research. Some researchers suggest they may be related to changes in brain chemistry, oxygen levels, electrical activity, and the way the brain processes perception under extreme stress. Others continue investigating because many questions remain unanswered. The human brain is still one of the least understood structures in the universe. A 3-pound organ capable of creating an entire world of experience. And even at the edge of life, it continues to surprise us. As oxygen levels fall further, the brain begins protecting its most essential functions. complex processes begin slowing. The ability to maintain normal awareness becomes more difficult. Thoughts become unclear. The outside world may feel distant. The sense of time may change. A few seconds can feel much longer. Minutes can feel strangely different. The brain is no longer processing reality in the same way. It is entering a state unlike ordinary consciousness. Eventually, the electrical activity required for normal awareness begins to fade. The person loses consciousness. But even then, the story is not immediately over. Because the human body is not a machine that simply turns off. It is a living ecosystem. Millions of processes continue. Cells continue using energy. Chemical reactions continue. The heart, under some circumstances, may continue briefly even after consciousness has disappeared. Life is not a single switch. It is a network of systems working together. And those systems do not all stop at the exact same moment. The heart itself is one of the most extraordinary organs in the human body. Many people imagine the heart as simply a pump. But it is much more than that. It contains specialized electrical systems that create and coordinate its rhythm. Every heartbeat begins with an electrical signal. That signal travels through heart tissue, causing muscles to contract, pushing blood throughout the body. A healthy heart can beat over 100,000 times every day, more than 3 billion times during an average lifetime. And it performs this work without conscious control. You never have to remember to make your heart beat. You never have to schedule it. It simply continues until the electrical system can no longer maintain the rhythm required for life. When the heart stops effectively circulating blood, the body loses its connection to oxygen. The countdown accelerates. Within moments, the absence of circulation begins affecting every organ. The kidneys, the liver, the muscles, the skin. Every cell depends on blood flow. Every cell depends on the delivery of oxygen and nutrients. The body that spent an entire lifetime maintaining itself now begins moving in the opposite direction. But perhaps the most mysterious part of death is this: the body may stop. But the story of those cells does not end immediately, because life exists at many levels. A person can no longer be conscious. The heart can stop. The brain can lose its organized activity. Yet individual cells may continue functioning for some time. Different tissues survive different lengths of time. Some are more resistant. Others are more vulnerable. The human body is not one thing. It is a universe of interconnected systems. And when those systems stop cooperating, the transition begins. For the living, death often feels like a sudden moment. 1 second someone is there. The next, they are gone. But biology tells a different story. Death is a journey, a gradual transformation, the final breath, the final heartbeat, the final moments of organized brain activity. Each step marks another stage in the separation between life and what comes afterward. And yet, even at this boundary, science continues discovering surprising details. Because the human body does not simply disappear. It changes. It returns. It becomes part of a much larger natural cycle. The atoms that created a person were never truly owned. They came from the earth, from water, from ancient stars, from countless generations before. And eventually, they return. But before that transformation begins, there is one final mystery. What happens after the last heartbeat? What happens to the body when the systems that maintained life begin shutting down? How does a living human being become part of nature again? Because death is not only about the final moment, it is also about everything that happens afterward. And the answer reveals one of the most fascinating processes in biology: the transformation of the human body. After life, the final heartbeat has happened. The final breath has left the body. The systems that work together for an entire lifetime have reached their final stage. But something fascinating remains. Death is not the instant disappearance of everything. The human body does not become lifeless all at once. Instead, it begins a slow transformation, a journey from a living organism back into the natural world. Because even after life ends, biology continues. In the first moments after the heart stops beating effectively, blood is no longer being pushed through the body. The circulation system that carried oxygen and nutrients for decades becomes silent. Gravity begins influencing the blood. Without the heart creating pressure, blood slowly settles in the lowest areas of the body. This process is known as livor mortis. It creates changes in skin color as blood collects in certain regions. It is one of the earliest visible signs that the body has entered a new biological state. The body is no longer maintaining itself the way it did during life. The systems that once repaired damage, controlled temperature, and maintained balance are beginning to stop. One of the first major changes is temperature. During life, the human body works constantly to maintain a stable internal temperature, around 37 degrees Celsius. The brain regulates heat production. The blood distributes warmth. The muscles generate energy. The skin releases heat when necessary. It is a remarkable balancing system. But after death, the body loses the ability to regulate itself. The heat that was carefully maintained begins escaping into the environment, slowly. The body approaches the temperature around it. Scientists call this algor mortis. The cooling process depends on many factors: the surrounding temperature, clothing, body size, air movement, the environment where death occurs. The body begins becoming part of its surroundings. Then another transformation begins: the muscles. During life, muscles constantly receive signals from the nervous system. These signals allow movement, relaxation, coordination. After death, those signals disappear. At first, muscles become relaxed. But after several hours, chemical changes inside muscle cells cause them to become stiff. This is known as rigor mortis. The body becomes temporarily rigid. The fingers, the arms, the legs, the entire muscular system reflects the final state of the body's chemistry. Eventually, as decomposition progresses, this stiffness disappears. The body continues changing. Nothing remains permanently fixed. Perhaps the most surprising part of the human body after death is what happens at the microscopic level. During life, your body is not alone. You are home to trillions of microorganisms. Bacteria live on your skin, inside your digestive system, throughout your body. Many of these organisms are essential while you are alive. They help digestion, support biological processes, interact with your immune system. They are part of you. But after death, the relationship changes. The immune system no longer controls them. The body's defenses become silent. The environment inside the body begins changing. And microorganisms that were once carefully managed begin participating in decomposition. They begin breaking down tissues, returning complex biological materials into simpler forms. This process may sound disturbing, but it is one of nature's most important systems. Without decomposition, the planet would be covered with remains that never return to the cycle of life. Death is not simply an ending, it is a transformation. Over the following days, cells throughout the body begin breaking down. Without oxygen and energy, cellular structures cannot maintain themselves. The organized systems that created a living person begin separating. Proteins break apart, tissues change. Chemical processes continue without the coordination that life provided. This is not destruction. It is recycling. The same atoms that once formed a human body eventually become available for new life. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, minerals, elements that have existed for billions of years. The body was never separate from nature. It was always part of it. This idea reveals something profound. During life, we experience ourselves as individuals. A person, a mind, a collection of memories, a unique story. But physically, we are temporary arrangements of ancient materials. The oxygen in your lungs, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your cells. All of these elements existed long before you were born. And after death, they continue. They move into new forms, new systems, new cycles. The universe does not waste matter, it transforms it. Scientists have studied decomposition because understanding this process helps answer many questions. How do ecosystems recycle nutrients? How do environments change after organisms die? How can forensic scientists estimate the timing of death? The human body, after life, becomes part of a much larger biological conversation. Plants, animals, microorganisms, soil, water, everything connected. The end of one organism can become the beginning of another. But perhaps the greatest mystery remains, not what happens to the body, but what happens to consciousness. What exactly is the experience of being alive? Where do thoughts exist? Where do memories live? How does a collection of billions of neurons create awareness? Science has made incredible progress understanding the brain, but consciousness remains one of the deepest unanswered questions. We know that brain activity is essential for human awareness. We know that changes in the brain can dramatically alter personality, memory, and perception. But the complete nature of consciousness is still being explored. The human brain remains one of the final frontiers of science. Throughout history, humans have looked at death with fear, but nature tells a different story. Death is not separate from life. It is part of the same process. Every living thing exists inside a cycle: birth, growth, change, decay, renewal. A forest is built from fallen trees. New life grows from old materials. The planet itself is a continuous exchange of matter and energy. Humans are part of that same cycle. Perhaps the most beautiful way to understand death is not as the opposite of life, but as the final transformation of life. The body that once breathed, the heart that once beat, the brain that once imagined, the hands that once created, all become part of something larger. The atoms continue. The energy continues. The story continues, just in a different form. Every person spends a lifetime trying to understand what it means to live. We chase dreams, build relationships, create memories, experience joy and pain. And all of it happens because a remarkable biological system works silently every second. A heart that beats, a brain that thinks, a body that repairs itself, a breath that returns again and again. Maybe the mystery of death becomes clearer when we first understand the miracle of life. Because the true wonder is not only that life ends. The true wonder is that life happens at all. A collection of atoms became a person. A group of cells became a mind. A heartbeat became a lifetime of experiences. And for a brief moment in the history of the universe, those atoms became aware. They looked at the stars. They asked questions. They loved. They dreamed. They searched for meaning. Then eventually, they returned, not disappearing, transforming. Because every human life is part of a much larger story, a story written by biology, by nature, by time itself. And perhaps the greatest mystery is not what happens after we die. Perhaps the greatest mystery is everything that had to happen for us to be alive in the first place.